We're going to do a chat about Leonardo da Vinci. So Leonardo da Vinci died in France in 1519, and I always find it strange that the French have as their main picture in the Louvre a painting by an Italian, though Italy didn't exist at the time of Leonardo. It was kingdom, so it wasn't really Italy as we understand it now. So in 1519, Leonardo left his drawings to one of his pupils, Francesco Melzi, and Melzi died in Milan around 1570, and the collection ended up in the possession of Thomas Howard, who was the 14th Earl of Arundel, which is a stately home on the south coast of England, who was a Catholic. Since the break with Rome, with Henry VIII, Catholics in England had to keep their heads down quite a lot because the state was Protestant. The Catholics did okay. There was no problem particularly with the Catholics, but they weren't well advised to interfere too much with the running of the country, and some of them kept their ancestral lands. For example, Thomas Howard, the 14th Earl of Arundel, who owned all of these Leonardo originals. These aren't originals, he's a prince. He did do well. However, when the English Civil War came, the Earl of Arundel and others left because Cromwell was ultra Protestant and was quite happy to neutralise anyone standing in their way, Catholics or Royalists for that matter. So the assumption is to ingratiate himself, Arundel's grandson ended up giving these several hundred Leonardo drawings to Charles II. Charles II was a Protestant king who came back to England after the Civil War ended. His father was killed by Cromwell, parliamentarians, but after it was found that Cromwell became a sort of king himself, the Parliament decided that because half the people in England wanted the king and half the people didn't, they decided that they would reinstall the king. So Charles II was brought back from France and put on the throne. But much of his wealth was taken, much of his power was taken. So that was the settlement that still exists now in England. The royalty was killed, abolished. Then afterwards, everyone realised, well, actually, half the people liked it. So the king's son, Charles II, was brought back from France. He was in exile, and he was reinstalled, and that's what happened. Okay, so the drawings were mounted individually under Victoria, and all these 500 originals are in the Royal Collection, the Queen's Collection, the King's Collection, the Royal Collection Trust, however you want to put it. So these are English prints of originals which were brought and taken to England, and they were handed around until they ended up in the collection of the king. So it says here, in His Majesty's collection. Okay, so we know about Leonardo, we know about where they came from, how they got here. So we'll look at the prints themselves. The prints are not huge, but they are very good quality prints. They're good quality prints because the technique is fantastic. The visual impression is incredible. We'll start with this one here. This was made by Francesco Bartolozzi. He's a very famous engraver, Italian, 1796. We don't know who it is. It is described as a man's fate. It is otherwise known as head of a beardless man. It is what's known as stipple engraving, where instead of lines, it is dots. So it's quite an interesting technique, works very well. And as I say, at the bottom it does say, in His Majesty's collection, engraved by F. Bartolozzi, historical engraver to His Majesty, from the original drawing by Leonardo da Vinci. It's been put on another piece of paper This is not laid paper. This is a fairly modern form of paper in the 18th century. Next one. This is 1796. This one was engraved by Peltro William Tompkins. That's an English engraver. It is stipple engravings, little pits, and it's also etching, where some of the work was drawn through a barrier to allow acid etching. This is red. This is like a number of the Leonardo chalky, sanguinish drawings that are in the Royal Collection. So they've kept the colour. It's a handsome thing, though it's very small. Next one. That one is not laid paper either. This one is laid paper. This one is handmade paper. The others will be handmade paper, but it's made in a different manner and stuck to a card. I can't see any watermarks. If I take it off the card, I risk ripping the corners. This is an anatomical drawing of a man standing and lifting his leg. It is in black and in red chalk effect. 1785. The engraver here is Girolamo Mantelli, done for Gepetto Borromeo Adese Conti di, I don't know. This one here probably, I haven't spent a lot of time, it probably hasn't come out of this book. The others have. This is probably made, I'm just thinking it's made in Italy for an Italian. It has different text on it, it has a different paper, hasn't got the Royal Collection connection, and it is made by Italian for an Italian, so I think that one is a separate one. Next one. Side profile, really, really Italian, very good nose on it. Roman nose, I suppose, if you want. 1796 by Peltro William Tompkins, stipple and etching, printed in red chalk on wove paper. It again has the details at the bottom, and it is from one of the pictures in His Majesty's collection. Next one. Same from the collection, Royal Collection. There was probably a book. These have been taken out of a book, I imagine. 1796, engraved by Francesco Bartolozzi. So you'll notice the hand isn't filled in. It's not that it's incomplete, it's just the way he's done it. Interesting. So we've got these for sale in England. They're really, really, really unusual. There's visually, for someone who likes prints, and there's not many people who like prints really, but for someone who likes prints like this, these are showstoppers. They're in all the right collections. The originals are in the Royal Collection. These copies are all over the place. They're in all the best museums in the world. These have got a lot of the information on. A lot of them have been trimmed. In the past, a lot of people wanted to get rid of this Englishness, this text at the bottom, to make them look like they could be older or could be more Italian than they are. But these have got the bottom on, and in some of the very good collections they haven't got the bottom on, they've been cut off. So for someone who likes Leonardo, who's not going to buy an original, for someone who wants some old Leonardo stuff, this is 18th century stuff. We know it's from, and it's very impressive. Okay, hopefully I've got across what we've got. Thank you.